Me here.
And moving on, investment firm Anicut Capital has just announced the close of its first late-stage equity continuum fund of 300 crore rupees. We learned that the fund will be used to support companies at the pre-IPO stage, even as Anicut says it will reinvest in companies it has already backed. With the closure, the firm's total assets under management has also crossed 3,000 crore rupees. CNBC-TV18's Jude Sannith caught up with its co-founder and managing partner, Ashvin, to find out which companies are on the firm's radar. Take a look.
Ashvin, great to have you with us here in CNBC-TV18 and congratulations on the launch of your maiden late-stage equity continuum fund. 300 crore is what we're talking about. Break this down for me, if you will, Ashvin. What is it all about, and what comprises the building blocks that really make this fund what it is?
Sure. No, thank you for having me here. This fund is about 6 or 7 companies that we've been tracking for the last 5 years. We think these companies are ready to go IPO in the next 2 to 3 years. As I said, they could have been portfolio companies of ours in the past. We didn't want to miss the opportunity of taking the last bite before these companies go to IPO. So again, it's a sort of a pre-IPO fund, but really it's also a continuation fund for us. We've been knowing these founders for a long time. They also wanted us to take a stake before the IPO. So that's what it's about. 6 to 7 companies, roughly 50 crores each company. And we've come up with a new model where we identified most of these companies before. So when we went to investors, we went with a pre-cooked portfolio. And that's why we were able to raise this money very quickly. In about a month's time, we were able to raise all the money for it.
Right. Now, I don't know how much you can give away, but I'm sure a lot of our viewers would want to know, who are these companies? What are they? What do they do? Which sectors are you looking at?
Sure.
Break this down for me, if you will.
Yeah, so I can name some of them we have already done. So companies like Milky Mist, which is a dairy brand in South India, probably one of the leading paneer brands in Chennai. They will go IPO in the next couple of years. So we are lucky to be investors with Satish. We are the only outside investors in that company. As I said, they'll be ready for an IPO in the next couple of years. Right. Some of the other companies we have a housing finance company out of Delhi called Umeed Housing Finance. We just closed a large round with some other investors, so we were part of that. We have a company called the Ayurveda Experience, which is India's largest beauty and personal care export-oriented brand. Right. They will certainly do about north of 400-500 crores this year in sales in the overseas markets. So again, very unique set of companies. We've tried to do as much of the sectors that we are comfortable in and known for. So consumer, financial services, etc. is what we have been tracking for the last 15-20 years. So most of the companies will come from those sectors.
Your third credit fund has hit a corpus of about 1,200 to 1,300 crore rupees. What's the plan on that front? Where are you looking to deploy? I know that 7 deals have already been struck. Where do you plan to allocate funding? As far as that corpus is concerned, where will it go essentially?
Sure. So on the private credit side, we do on an average 8 to 10 deals a year. These are around 60 to 80 crores in size. And again, these are more mature companies. These are companies who are looking for acquisition financing. There could be promoter level financing to buy out a partner, or a private equity player needs an exit and the founder needs to buy them out. So we will do really special situations in performing companies. So this is not a distress fund, but we've been doing this business now for the last 12 years, 8 years in the fund. We are probably the slowest fund out there in terms of AUM growth. So in our third fund now, we manage collectively around 2,500 crores. Many funds these days start with 3,000 crores. So I think very, very slow, and we want to be sure of the companies that we're investing in. Our investors are made up of largely domestic family offices and some large institutions. Almost all of the capital is domestic, and we ourselves are large investors in all our funds. So we have tried to make sure that we are known best for our returns as opposed to our AUM growth and the size of our funds.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you bring up investors, because I was also going to ask you, what has investor interest been like this year? I know for a fact that we're having this conversation in the aftermath of what many would consider the startup funding winter, as far as the Indian ecosystem is concerned. Do you feel that the worst is probably behind us and that investments will pick up steam going forward? And if yes, to what degree?
Yeah. No, it's a very unique time, in the private markets, because when you see the public markets, every day there is a fresh all-time high, right? So there is a tremendous amount of interest coming from all segments investing in the public markets, and it's done phenomenally well. So of course for us in the private markets, it's kind of it's a very unique time, because the private markets have been soft coming out of the winter the last 2 years, but I'm seeing more and more activity pick up. There's also now a change in terms of the valuation gap between privates and publics is becoming very attractive. Right. So the public valuations, as we all have seen, have gone up a lot. We're still getting very good and attractive deals in the private space. So I think that money will also continue to come in the private space. And I think the next year or two you'll see a lot more deal flow and activity in all the traditional sectors. I mean, we are seeing investors now want to have more profitable companies. So we're seeing larger companies even on the manufacturing side, the defense side, the electrification, make in India. Those kinds of themes are really catching on. And of course, consumer, financial services, the more traditional healthcare, pharma, we are seeing a lot of activity there, as was always there.
Right. Half the year is almost over right now. So if you were to look at what's left of 2024, what will your investment theme be like in terms of where money is going? I know for a fact that you've got it clearly demarcated, cutting edge technology for, emerging companies, whereas the more established mature players at the upper end itself. Do you see some semblance of divergence from that overall theme? Is there something that you're really interested in putting your money in? What lies ahead for the rest of the year?
I would love to tell you that, we are going to do these 3 new things and those are going to be the themes for the rest of the year. But unfortunately, we're very boring people. We do a lot of the same, and we continue to do that, and hopefully we do that very well. So that's, we have already signed, I think, 4 or 5 term sheets. I think they will take, in private markets, 3 to 6 months to close. So those transactions are going to happen. some of our companies have become very large and are getting interest from overseas large investors. So we're very fortunate that these founders have picked us early. So, we're going ahead and, with this new fund, we can do a double dip where we back them once again after backing them very early. So that's, we are fortunate that the founders have, allowed us back into some of these companies.
Okay, let me ask you this before I let you go then. 3 sectors that Anicut is the most bullish on as far as 2024 is concerned.
See, I think financial services is something that we're very bullish on. I think even in the public markets, a lot of the sectors have rallied a lot. Financial services still hasn't moved that much. So there is a lot of growth. If we are, financial services typically will grow 2x the size of GDP growth. I think financial services, consumer has become very interesting, and domestic manufacturing, anything around make in India, those are sectors that, apart from the tech and all of the more interesting stuff that we hear about.
Well, with that, it's time for us to head into a short break. But coming up with Budget 2024 round the corner, the startup ecosystem has a list of expectations. What are they? We will tell you on the other side. Stay tuned.